Now joining us to talk more about this barren sports landscape, we welcome in our analysts Zach Leff and David West. Now, guys, I mentioned one of the proposed NBA tournament formats a minute ago, but to y'all, what would be your dream format if the NBA does restart this season? And David, we'll start with you.
Thanks for having me, Thomas. Obviously, in a perfect world, we want to all see the NBA return to its landscape, and we want to see the regular season played out. That's me speaking optimistically. In all likelihood, realistically speaking, I do think the NBA will cut its regular season in half. See, what most people don't know is the NBA needs to reach at least 70 games played to receive this financial incentive. So I do think the priority for the NBA right now is to make sure they get that 70 games played. And from there, I do think, again, the NBA season will be cut in half, if you ask me. I think the priority then shifts to making it a playoff push. But I do think the NBA season will resume.
Now, in the baseball world, while the MLB hasn't announced their plan to move forward yet, it is more than likely that if they do start back, they will have a shortened season. For each of y'all, which teams would you say can benefit the most from this change? And
my answer would be the Washington Nationals, man. For a guy, I got to watch their spring training recaps and watch some of their highlights and etc. But for me, they looked out of sync. They looked out of order. I didn't really recognize them as opposed to that defending champion we saw last season. So I think all professional teams will benefit from this sort of hiatus. Like Zach said, regain that mental framework and get back in the right state of mind. So I think all teams will benefit. But obviously, if you're the Nationals, you're going to get the best team in and out as you're obviously the national champions. Excuse me. So I think they'll have they'll be one of the main beneficiaries for this hiatus.
Despite all the cancellations in the sporting world, the NFL draft will still be conducted from April 23rd to 25th, obviously in the virtual format mentioned earlier. There are a number of Longhorns in this year's draft, but at this point, who do y'all think has the highest draft stock? And David, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say Devin Duvernay. Obviously, it's so close between him and Colin Johnson, but for me, it's Devin Duvernay for a few reasons. One, I feel like his versatility was displayed throughout his tenure at Texas. For one, this man came in as a freshman playing outside receiver, and we obviously saw this past season him transition into the slot position, and obviously had a spectacular season, over 100 receptions on the year. So I think the numbers from this season just tell like a small percent of the picture. But I think his versatility will be able to translate into any NFL roster moving forward. So I'm going to say Devin Duvernay.
Sports world has been pretty certain that for the last couple of months, LSU quarterback Joe Burrow will be taken number 1 overall by the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, would y'all say that Burrow at number 1 is a done deal, or could you argue that the Bengals could take a look at someone else for the top pick? David, we'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, no Louisiana bias on this one. There is absolutely no way there should be no debate right now for that number 1 overall pick. Let's look at Chase. Let's look at Chase Young's numbers. 10+ sacks in consecutive seasons. Obviously, just dominate on that defensive line, and then obviously Tua Tagovailoa, 30+ touchdowns in consecutive seasons. So obviously, we saw 2 seasons from 2 superstar players. Just great overall numbers altogether, and obviously, with Tua Tagovailoa, you have reservations concerning his injury history. But let's not act like Joe Burrow doesn't have reservations of his own. Obviously, we saw reports on his small 9-inch hands just a couple months that surfaced. But quite frankly, the only thing smaller than Joe Burrow's hands is his sample size at LSU. Yeah, he had one historical season, but I mean, I don't know. I look at Tua Tagovailoa again, 30+ touchdowns in consecutive seasons, whereas Joe Burrow's prior season, just obviously not as historic, just average numbers. So yeah, man, I'm not going to be biased. I don't think you should dismiss the other guys, because again, Chase Young and Tua Tagovailoa, I think, are real players, and I think they'll have great careers wherever they go.